Hi everybody, it's Lisa from YouTube channel I Want You to Shine. I hope you're having a great day today wherever you are and whatever you're doing. And today I want to talk about health. We touched a little bit last time. I talked about New Year's resolutions. And today I want to continue on in that vein because health is everything. If you have your health, you have everything. If you're dealing with a terminal illness, that's a different story. If you're dealing with a chronic health problem, that's also a different story. I think I mostly want to touch on those of us who have relative good health and the ways that our body is built and designed to give us messages, either warning messages or messages that we're doing really great. And I think if we can fine tune that intuitive mechanism inside of all of us, we all have it, that we will be able to have a better relationship with our body, have a better dialogue with our body. So I just want to share a story about my own intuitive system and how it helped me. How first I didn't pay attention, and then when I finally did pay attention, what I did. So when I was my first job after coming back to New York after taking care of my father when he was dying and helping my mom was to work at the local hospital. A lot of people say that you have to do work on the med-surg floor, medical surgical floor. So I committed to working there a year, and I trained for, I think it was 12 weeks maybe. And then once I was on my own and I was on the night shift, so if you've never done shift work in the night shift, it's really hard on the body physiologically, mentally, emotionally, every way. Some people manage better than others. For me, it was not good. It was really, really bad. I had to try to sleep in the afternoon. It was, you could ask my friends, it was a really rough, I did it for 2 years altogether. But so anyway, add to the night shift, which is very stressful. It goes against our natural circadian rhythms of going to bed at a certain time when it's dark, waking up in the morning, and that's a variation for everybody, of course. But add to that the exorbitant stress that I was under in that job. For me, it was such a scary place. The hospital was completely foreign to me. I had been a person who had always focused on wellness in my life, so I was literally, well, not literally, but figuratively, a fish out of water there. It was really, really scary for me. So what happened is, because I was under all the stress of being up all night long and working under those conditions that weren't right for me and my body, we would sometimes measure with this thing that you put on your finger called a pulse oximeter, and it measures your heart rate and your oxygen level in your blood. So, being nurses, we would do that sometimes, and mine was always really in the 120s. A normal adult heart rate is between 60 and 100 beats per minute, variations on that as well. Mine was always in the 120s, and that's something called tachycardia, which is too fast heart rate. So I figured it was just because of the environment that I was working in. So fast forward, I finished my commitment of 1 year, and then I said, I can't take this anymore. I could tell that it was really, really unhealthy for me. So I quit that job, and I ended up a couple months later working at hospice, and I was still in the night shift there. And again, much different conditions, much calmer, but again, still on the night shift, trying to stay awake, in the middle of the night, like 2, 3, 4 o'clock was really hard for me to try to stay awake, especially if all my patients were asleep and quiet. And again, maybe, I think it was about a year almost into me being at hospice, I realized that my heart rate was still consistently in the 120s. So I was talking to a colleague, Andy, wherever you are, if you're watching this, Andy Palmer. Andy Palm. Oh my God, I just called you Palmer. It's Andy Palm, who's now living in Alaska. Hello, Andy, if you're watching this. Andy Palm, I once was telling him about my heart rate, and he said, you might want to get that checked out. I think he was taken over. I was on the night shift. He was probably coming on maybe the morning shift that day. Anyway, or he just happened to be there doing his, out in the field job. So that day I made an appointment. I had some blood work. I went in to get a test done. So she tested my heart, an EKG, which is the measurement of your heart rate. And she said I was definitely in arrhythmia, which is that fast heart rate. And she said, I'm going to also do blood work because sometimes your thyroid can be a cause of having a high heart rate. So a couple days later, she called me and said, oh my God, you have hyperthyroid symptoms. Your levels are out of control. So I went in and realized that this fast heart rate and the anxiety that came with it, she prescribed me to take a beta blocker that would help with that anxiety that was coming from those high hormones, my thyroid hormones. I ended up going to an endocrinologist in town. So after that diagnosis, I realized I couldn't work the night shift anymore. So I was able to, in a beautiful set of circumstances, a new person came on who wanted the night shift, and I took her evening shift. So that was beautiful. It all worked out really well for the next little while that I worked there. So my point in telling you the story is that after I realized what was going on, it turns out I have Graves' disease, which is an autoimmune disease of the thyroid that causes hyperthyroid. Everything's good now. I'm off my medication. I did it for 2 years. I'm good now. But what I realized after all that happened, I started doing some research on Graves' disease, is that I had a lot of symptoms that I didn't really pay attention to. The one was the racing heart rate, the anxiety, which I attributed to the work, which was probably a chicken and egg kind of situation. Which came first, the work or the thyroid problem? I was having this weird swelling on my calf muscles. My eyes were starting to look a little bit bulgy. I can't remember what else, but there were a couple other things that I didn't realize were symptoms of hyperthyroid. So I didn't really pay attention. I could have dealt with it earlier on had I had it checked out, but I didn't. So I waited as more and more symptoms started to creep up. So I'm telling you this story because you have that innate system inside of you as well that tells you when things are going well and tells you when things aren't going well. So what is it that needs to happen for you? Do you need to lose some weight? Do you feel like you could be at risk for getting type 2 diabetes, which I'll spend another time talking about that disease, which is preventable completely and very dangerous if you don't get it under control. Diabetes is an insidious, dangerous disease that is preventable and controllable if you have type 2 diabetes. Now, I'm not talking about type 1 diabetes. That's a whole different story. But type 2 diabetes, for the most part, is a diet and lifestyle disease. So if you can nip it in the bud before you become insulin dependent, you're way ahead of the game. And some people, maybe they can't, but my point today in telling you all this is to take a really good look at yourself. Figure out, what area do you need to work on? Do you need to exercise more? Are you a person who just likes to sit on the couch all day? You and I both know the benefits, and it's even more than benefits. The way that exercise supports you. It brings blood through your system. It brings oxygen through your system to your brain, to your heart, to everything, your lungs. Exercise is absolutely necessary for good life. Unless you're living a life like we used to live when we were back in the day and you're doing lots of hard labor all day long, that's a different story also. What do you need to work on? How can you get healthier? It's New Year's time. How can you do one thing to improve your life, to improve your health right now? If you have bad health from lack of taking care of yourself, no amount of money, even if you're rich, can buy you out of getting diseases. I mean, obviously, if you have money, you can have better health care, but there's so many ways to prevent, or no, I even want to take that back. There's so many ways to support your health, because I want to come to it from a positive spin. So take some stock, write it down. I used to put gold stars on my calendar. I love doing that so that I could look and see, oh, I exercised every single day this week. I like to take a break on the weekends for me. As I said my last video, I just started my new PiYo tapes yesterday, and I'm doing that in addition to walking because I feel like I want to amp it up a little bit. So I want to say, whatever you need to do to be healthier, please do it. You deserve it. You can live such a better life when you feel better, because I'm telling you what, you and I both know that when you have good health, You are really gifted. Do your best to find ways to improve. Shoot me an email if you need some support at lisa@iwantyoutoshine.com. If you have any other subjects you want me to talk about someday, I'm going to start making a list of what to talk about. So I support you in better health, whatever that looks like for you. Whatever ways you can improve, I want you to do it, okay? There's so many resources right now online. My God, there's books, there's apps everywhere to help you. So find a way to get healthier, okay? It will be a beautiful blessing for your life. So I love you. I'll see you next time. Have a wonderful day.